Hi everyone, it is Natalie from Being Intentionally Creative. You'll notice that I have two things in front of me, and we are going to, sort of going away a little bit from the Christmas theme of things, but not really. The next project we're working on is this transport truck. Okay, I have the mold here. I am going to be coloring it in with two colors only. You may notice, or maybe not, that, well, let me show you. Let's just go back to brass tacks. We're going to be doing a transport truck. Reason we're doing this is going to be a gift for somebody. What was interesting about this particular mold, and I don't understand it, my husband is a transport truck driver, he doesn't get it, but it's this part right here on the mold. Now, there are stacks on the truck, and we don't know why this is at the front. Now, unless it's a pole that's, part of a moose, a moose bumper, we really don't know why that is part of this truck. And I have been searching high and low to find a truck mold that doesn't have that on it because we don't like it. The person I'm making it for, their truck does not have that on it. When I made this one, and I just made this out of polyurethane, just so I could make it and show it to my husband, and I'll explain the yellow in a minute, I actually ended up sanding off that piece because, well, for us it just looks better without it. I appreciate that it's part of this mold, but we don't want it on. And we felt that with it gone, it looked more like a transport truck, or the one I need to sort of make it resemble. The reason for the yellow is I needed to know on the truck what would technically be considered stainless steel. And that's what all these markings are. I will point out the wipers are black. I know that they will not get made into the quote stainless color. The one sort of interesting part about all of this is the truck I'm doing, it's going to be black and the stainless steel. I would really like to have the windows be, and this is going to sound really far-fetched and you're going to wonder about me, but window colored, so almost clear, but there's really no way to do that in the mold. Like I don't know how to do that. I want to make one of these for my husband. His truck is actually burgundy in color. Doing the windows burgundy is not going to make any sense at all. I need to figure out how to do windows that aren't going to be the color of the truck. So I still need to figure that out, and I haven't gotten there yet. But I thought it'd be really cool to do this together. Helpful to me so I know what needs to be the stainless steel color, and the rest of it will be the black color that I need to make it. What colors am I going to use for this? Well, I've got two of the eye candy blacks. We've got the sumi black and we've got the ninja black. I'm not sure which of the two of these is the darkest, so I'm going to have to sort of figure that out. I think the sumi black might be a little bit darker, but I will do a little bit of a test on white something or other to figure out which is darker, because I really wanted a nice black color. For the aluminum, I'm going to use the jungin silver. Again, I don't know how to pronounce this, so just bear with me. So that's the color we're going to use for that. And then I'm hoping that I get a brainstorm on how to keep the windows, even if I could find a lighter silver, and I'll have to look through the stash of stuff I have, but I would like the windows to stand out. I'm just not sure how I'm going to pull that off. Anyway, I'm going to go off and color in this because it's going to take me a little bit of time, and I'm going to have to follow the truck. And then when I've got it done, we'll come back. You'll get to see it, and I'll let you know if I've come up with any brainiac ideas for the windows. We'll fill it in and see how she turns out. See you in a bit. That took me a while to do. I will not lie. If I knew how to fast forward, I probably could have videotaped it. There was a lot of time spent on this because I had to keep checking the one I had done to make sure I got my, what I'll call my stainless silver where I wanted to get it. And then I decided to go with this Let's Resin Interference Silver on the windshield. I also put some down here on this grate. I did the darker silver, the very bright silver around it and in between, and then I put the interference silver on top of it. But it took me a long time because I wanted to make sure that I got the colors where I wanted to get them, and then I also needed to do some cleaning up. Be prepared to spend a little bit of time if you're at all interested in getting your colorings right and what you need where. You're going to have to spend a little bit of time. I probably took over an hour doing what I did, maybe a bit longer, but again, it's really important to me to get it right. There are a couple of spots I wasn't 100% sure with, so I'm going to go on the premise that, like up in here, and I may be out of whack, up in here, hard to say. Yes, part of me says that maybe some of it should have been the stainless color, but I'm going to go with the black and hope for the best. I did add, in regards to making my resin black, in addition to the sumi black, eye candy, mica powder, I also put in some Let's Resin black dye. It's important to me that I get this as black as I can, and so hopefully I have got enough in here. I did use my mixer to do this. Do I have air bubbles? Probably, hopefully not. Not a lot. I've sort of been eyeing up a air bubble remover, but yeah, not there. If I stopped buying some of the other stuff I was buying, I could afford it. Anyway, let's get this poured, and we'll just do it slowly. Now, again, don't want to be spraying on top of my colors because I'm just afraid I'll have splotches in it, so we're just going to have to suck it up. But we'll just get this pouring, and I'll just do it really slowly. And I had thought about doing the mica powder like I'd done the other color, but no, it was sort of like let's just make it as black as I can, and hopefully I've made it black enough. The person that's getting this tends to give me a little bit of a rough time, so my husband will be giving it to him, and then if he has any smart comments, my husband will say, well, you let her know. You send her the message. So I just figure I'll go over different spots on this. And this black should definitely help the windshield wipers. Even though I use the mica powder on the windshield wipers, this black should definitely help make them look more black. And I did ask my husband, so one of the trucks my husband had was black, but it also had, like in the sunlight, you could see red flecks in it. And I had kind of hoped, I had to admit, I have kind of hoped that this truck that I'm making had those flecks in it. My husband didn't seem to think it did, because I figured that if it did, I would have used one of the eye candy glimmer colors, because I have red, and I would have thrown that in because I think it would have looked really cool. But he didn't seem to think that his truck had anything, like he figured it was red. And I had wanted to, so we talked about this one section that neither my husband or I thought should really be in the truck, but we'll see how it turns out doing this way versus the color I'd done. And I might I might leave it just as is, and you know, it's part of the mold. Yes, I can sand it down, but I sometimes I dislike doing that. Get floating there. Okay, I want to get that. I need one of my... I get the resin flowing up here. And flowing so it... And I'm always really careful if I'm going over top of mica powder so I don't end up scarring it, if you will. And I'm using the Magic Resin 2-part epoxy for this. And I think I said I made up 130 ml of the resin. I think I said that. If I didn't, 130. It's interesting. You know, I say this a lot that, you know, I want to get much better writing down when I use any product in the molds. I went back to my little book and I went, yeah, no, I didn't write that down when I, you know, had done it with the polyurethane. Of course I didn't. I wish I could remember. Yeah, it should just, it needs to become one of those automatic things. Apparently it's not automatic yet. All right, now it's looking pretty black, and I'm trying to determine, I don't want to go up too high, I just want to, I'm trying to make sure I stay within where I want to be and not go up and over anything that I don't want to. It's hard, sometimes it's hard to tell, for me anyways, with the molds, how high up I should go pouring my resin. You don't want to go over top, but you want to make sure you have it level with the edge. And I'm not always 100% sure on that. Okay, so I'm definitely going to have some resin left over. And that's okay. I was going to put some glitter in this too. And I went, nope, don't do that. A glitter truck. All right. I'm really looking forward to seeing how this turns out, especially because I've got the stainless on it now. All right, yeah, I don't think it's supposed to go. I think I've got it where it needs to be. I think it's sort of an optical illusion because it almost looks like, and you may not be able to see it, but so we have our edge here, but it almost looks like there's a line up here, which sort of giving me the idea I should be going up there, but I think it's just part of the overall look. So we have our truck done. I have all kinds of resin left over. I'm just wondering, I have one of my tea lights here, but you know what we're going to do instead? And this, okay, this may not seem practical to you guys, but that's okay. Practical doesn't always come into my awareness all the time, but what I'm going to do is, I'm going to move this, just set that off to the side. I need to make sure I've got enough space to put my cover on it. I was smart this time. I went and got my cover before I started, so that's good. So we can push that back. And then. All right. I'll let that sit and sort of, I'll go over it with either alcohol or my blowtorch. Yeah, that's what I'm going to use. My lighter. So I'm going to fill this up with the last of the black resin. I know, sounds really far-fetched and bizarro and whatnot. I get it. Now what I could do though is take some of that silver. You know, that's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to let you guys go. I am going to take some of my jungin silver, and I'm going to put it inside this mold here. And then I'm going to pour the black over top of that. When this is ready to take out of the mold, we'll do that. And fingers crossed this comes out the way I want it to. See you in a bit. Okay, are we ready for this? I'm excited. I'm excited to take this truck out. I have my fingers crossed that it comes out the way I want it to. We'll do the presents first. I know, way to tease you and whatnot. We'll do these presents first. I did put some of the silver, or what I'll call the chrome color, on the back of or in the front of these, just so that the black wasn't so black. And I know this isn't going to be what some people would like, but I had it and I didn't want to waste it, so I played. So let's see how they all turned out. So funny, my dog leaves the room whenever I turn on my camcorder because she doesn't like the sound of the beep. I think I've mentioned that to you before. She's very interesting, and we got some new couches, and every time we sit in them, she leaves the room. She doesn't like them. Oh, maybe someday. Okay, so that's what the silver with the black looks, and I'm actually kind of liking it. It's a different feel. It's a different vibe having them this way. I do have some air bubbles in them, only because my resin was starting to harden up a little bit when I did pour these. Next time I'd take more time pouring them in so I didn't end up with the air pockets. But let me know what you think of these. I think they're actually kind of cool looking. And one of the things I thought of too is with this piece, and we talked about putting presents in. I know the truck's very exciting. We'll get there. So if you had something like this, and I would still recommend putting something so the presents could sit up in it. And I don't have, okay. So envision this looking somewhat Christmassy, okay? Put your imagination to work, people. Okay, so if you did something like that, obviously you'd find a better way of putting them in, but to give you an idea. Okay. And again, I got this idea from a friend of mine. So something like that, right? You could have different colored presents. You could do them in one solid color, and then if you had chrome markers or even paint pens, you could decorate them up somehow. I think it would look really cool aside from the, blue in there. So let's get those out of there. I kind of like how those turned out. I'm glad I did that. Alrighty. Okay. Drum roll for this truck. Fingers crossed. We can flip it over on this side. So imagining how that's going to look when it comes out. Let's see how she turned out. Really hoping, and I guess the other big thing is I'm hoping that I don't have air bubbles in the front of this. Guess if I do, I do, right? All right. Okay. Well, I'm pleased with it to a point. I'm saddened by the fact that some of my chrome has the black in it, because I didn't get enough of the chrome on it. Now I do have my chrome markers. I can work with that to make it look a little bit better. The mirrors, or the windows I should say, aren't too bad. Yeah, I'm a little disappointed my chrome's not better than it is. That's unfortunate. I might have to touch it up with the chrome marker. But not bad. Not bad for my first go at it. I think the reason this looks fairly decent is because I was able to use my big, one of my bigger makeup brushes with it. Some of this other stuff I did with the micro brushes. So I'm thinking I may have just not gotten it well enough, but the tires turned out pretty cool. And here the wheel wells aren't too bad. I guess I shouldn't be too hard on myself because it doesn't look too bad. It's not, I'm not overly fussy, but I might just take a chrome marker to it and see if I can't fix it up a little bit. Or it just looks worn. We can look at it from that perspective. And in here, I needed to be a little more careful because I have some air bubbles in there. Now I could probably fix that up with some UV resin. And just where I have, you know, some air pockets over here. So if you have this mold, be really aware of that you, like I poured this quickly and I should have taken my time with it. So make sure that you get into the spots with it. But in general, it's not too bad. It's not too bad, but I think it could do with a little bit of TLC fixing up on it. So you know what? Because I can, let me get my chrome marker and we'll see how that might help it out a little bit. See if we can touch this up a little bit so it doesn't look so rough. And I think I might take some time and fill in some of the spots with UV resin. But that I'm not going to do on camera. I'm having issues with my thumb. It's locking in place, which isn't helpful to me at all. Just want to get this running, but not too much. Let's see. And I recommend, because I sort of found this myself, if you use these, like go over your spot, let it dry, and then go over it a second time. Because I found if I just keep going over it, that I end up like pulling off what I've put on, which isn't helpful. Where else do I want to? These doors. Okay. See if I can get in there. I don't think my pen's working all that great. Where can I? Okay. And I think doing it this way is actually helpful because then you have the opportunity, like you know where you're going over that. Okay. Yeah, I don't know how well that's gonna really help my overall look, but I'll let it dry. I'll maybe go over it a couple of more times, but in general, no, it isn't bad, and I'm being a little harsh on myself for it, but the idea is there, and yeah, I have some fixing up to do on it. Let me know what you think in the comments below. That is it for this video, and yeah, I either need to do a more I don't want to say a more professional job. I just need to make sure I get the colors in a little bit better next time. So let me know what you think in the comments below, what you think of the truck, and anything you might do differently to it. Thanks for watching. Take care, and bye for now.